Hello and welcome back to a personal code of conduct. This is Dio as usual, and this week we'll be talking about not that we'll be talking about, I'll be giving up my bullshit theories on basically everything. I'll be complaining about I'm basically coming back to y'all week on week, like back to back. It's 5 weeks into the year of 2021, and Dio hasn't gone far in anything. Dio has decided to continue hating her job, existing like this vibe space. Dio actually Dio doesn't have an outline, but Dio tried to think about stuff during the week. I don't know. I just want to just sit down and look at YouTube. So this week, bullshit theories and me complaining as usual. So welcome and enjoy if you're enjoying this crazy freaky whatever this is. And what episode are we on? But I almost didn't want to record this because Dio is getting lazy as usual. I haven't given up on Skintel. If there's anybody who's interested, I think I want to start seriously doing reviews because I've talked about the important things to African women, which is acne and hyperpigmentation. Those are key things I'll focus on. Then maybe later I'll start talking about aging and what have you. So I need to start getting serious about product reviews. I know only a few people know that I have a skincare Instagram and listen to this podcast, but update on that. So bullshit theories and Dio complaining. Okay, this is going to be me talking about stuff that, to me, in the real sense, Kokomi is really none of my business. So they're basically bullshit theories and not in any order. And this is me with no actual research, because I said last time, I freaked out about researching stuff and everything. I'm scared about what I find. I haven't really achieved the whole calm and one with yourself and not really bothering about your fears and all those kind of stories and what have you. I'm still in that phase where I'm sort of a hypocrite and not doing what I preach because I tend to freak out, which is the whole reason why I got into trying to understand myself and all that bullshit. So the first point, it's not really a point, first thing that is none of my business that I want to talk about is black male weebles, all those weird ass okay, I keep saying weird as if I'm not one of them, all these anime people, but they're anime dudes, specifically dudes. And I think this goes to the whole you don't see another person as a human being, and that's the one thing I really this sentence will always be with me for the rest of my life. I don't think she listens to my podcast, even though I send her the link every week, Biola, I'm talking about you. It's everything what she said about people. I think I don't know who I was getting mad at. I think I was 19 and getting really angry and racist towards every single person, and basically you had to be a photocopy of myself, down to 90%. So basically somebody who had a similar childhood to me and existed for me to not hate you when in that 6-month period, during IT, where I was just bitter, and it moved on to year 5 and stuff. So when I got into year 5, I was still kind of bitter, but there was when I was blowing up with this dramatic hate about something people I didn't know. Then it was just a situation where she just said something direct that people do. I interpreted it as understanding that people do people things. I have no rights. Nobody has any rights really. Rights is a human concept. I have no rights to determine how somebody reacts to a situation. I can only defend myself from their actions and stuff like that. So yeah. So I really held that on to me that it's even if it's not, nobody's actions are enough for me to take it to heart. It's not that I just forgive them. No, even when you're trying to avenge yourself, you need to understand that this person's actions are what they feel is profitable for themselves, and you should try to do what you feel is profitable for you. But try as much as possible. I think that is, everybody should have their own set of ethics and be okay, my own is that there are things that I want, but I'm not willing to ruin someone's life to get them. I'm not willing to ruin someone's life unprovoked to get them. That is a key thing that I want to have in this conversation. So like now that the foundation of stuff, let's get into Daya's bullshit theories. A lot of like, how do I put it? I think rather than calling it black male anime dudes or black male weebles or wherever, I should call it, this is none of my business because it doesn't affect me in my nation like at all. That's the reason I came on with like bullshit theories, because I just want to have something to think about the situation. So I'll just like, okay, this is my current opinion of that situation. If I find myself, I won't go and look for answers because it doesn't directly affect me. But if I ever find myself confronted with this and like with new knowledge, with nothing, I have a set of stuff that I currently operate like deep down in the recesses of my mind, because I'm not going to use this every day, like, because this doesn't affect me. It's just like, okay, I have a random opinion that may be wrong, and whatever new information I get about this situation, I can just like use it to like edit my current. So this is me just voicing out my current opinion on stuff that is none of my business. So I was talking about like, I know like this topic is just huge, and there are a lot of like YouTube commenters who talk about this topic. I think it's starting to affect my society, because like my bullshit theory number one that affects the key thing is transfer of aggression towards black women. My bullshit theory number one, because I have no proof, no nothing, is my bullshit theory about men with no proof, with no nothing, is that a lot of men, it's not really about the woman itself. Like I've mentioned like in a previous time that you're still not organized. In a previous time, how beauty is a set of standards. Like in my own opinion, health is like a golden, like so far you're healthy, there's a high possibility throughout like in the long history of humanity, you might become a beauty standard. Like, so the one uncompromisable thing about beauty is health. Like so far you are healthy, you most likely, like at one point in human history, you will be a beauty standard. So like the concept of beauty to me is not real. So like anytime I feel ugly, I feel whatever, it's not that I can't just throw away these feelings or what have you, but I try to look for where my beauty standards come from, why I want to look the way I want to look, and try to like understand and try to find the beauty in different forms by looking across like standards from different time periods and cultures in like human history. So that's like the off-point tangent I wanted to go. So my own like bullshit theory about men, this is the actual bullshit theory, is that a lot of men, it's not really about the beauty, it's the status that comes with having a beautiful woman. Because a lot of like, I feel like a woman's beauty doesn't actually come naturally. Like there are some nice looking women, in my opinion. I feel like there are some nice, but I think most women are like above average looking, like no matter where they are like in the world, like most women and men as well are like above average looking at best. That's literally my definition of like, but to look particularly amazing, that comes with like attention to detail, clothing, makeup, aesthetics, orishirishi, and with the modern age, plastic surgery. So it's like, what is the new, that's how a beautiful woman is made, because a lot of like our modern standards cannot be achieved like by somebody, like if somebody looks the way they came out of their womb, not children by the way, like based on like a relatively healthy childhood and like what have you. Our modern beauty standards cannot be achieved. You need like a huge amount of editing to achieve those modern beauty standards, because even when you see somebody on camera and you see them in the real world, you're like, you're not that fine. Like I don't think I've met somebody who is that fine, like whether on camera, whether on wherever. It's like I can always see something I don't like in your face. Am I a bad person? Maybe, but like I don't think anybody is actually that attractive. But like I can think of somebody becoming an aesthetic. It's not real, because in the end they remove all the stuff and become like the rest of us, and maybe at most above average looking. But like all of us are like within that average scale or being slightly above. I know I'm talking like absolutes, but this is Daya's opinion. All of us are in that above average or below average or exactly average look. I don't think so far you're like healthy, you can't be hideous. And even if you're not healthy, depending on like a minority will hold you as a standard, but like thinking about like the whole of society, you may not be like the thing. But this is like just trying to set up like my bullshit theory, which is men, I don't think it's about the beauty, it's about the social standing you have by owning a beauty. Because in the end, like, I think I want to like properly, because I haven't been properly sitting down, voicing and sitting down to like push out all my thoughts. Because when you want to sit down and think about something, it comes in flashes in different places. You don't just think about something and it flows. Then when you now say that, okay, it has come in flashes, let me now arrange my life. What are the things I want to say and all that bullshit. So it looks like weird and off-pointy and railroady. So like I was saying about like people wanting to just have the beautiful lady, because if you look at like womanhood in like the whole sense of the stuff, our lack of strength has unfortunately made us appear as property in a huge portion of history, in a huge portion of cultures. So it's like, a lot of men probably, like, you see, the reason why I like using words like probably or allegedly or maybe or might is because I operate with the principle that people are individuals and you should judge people by an individual basis. But I'm not going to say that I don't generalize people. That's just bullshit. I'd be a liar if I said I didn't. Because it's just easier to think, especially when it's an issue that doesn't directly affect you. Like the transfer of aggression specifically on African women, like being singled out from this, doesn't directly affect on like African descendants. It doesn't directly affect me, because I just face the issue that a woman who is a majority person in her country, I just face general sexism issues in a third world country. I don't face, and even then live in a big city, so my issues with sexism are not as terrible as, let's say, a 12-year-old girl who was forced to get married. But even then, everybody should always try to improve their situation. So it's like, so these issues don't affect me because I am not singled out as the victim of aggression by people who that are supposed to protect me. So where was I? As usual, I was rambling on and went around the transfer of aggression towards black women. So it was like, it's a question of when a man feels he doesn't have access to a certain type of woman. Like the woman has become a commodity in this situation. So whether or not she's the woman that is wanted or not, the woman is still the kind of, it's like hating your CRT TV because it's not a flat screen. Do you get? Like I said, beauty is a set of standards that in my opinion are truly not real, but that doesn't stop you from feeling anything, because it's important to remember that knowledge is not emotion. So like beauty is a set of standards. Daria is repeating stuff as usual, and it's important to understand that people do people things. So whatever a human being has done, any other human being is capable of. I think that's my like rough around the edges theory, because we all go through like different experiences and go through different lives. But like I'm operating with the nurture not nature like values and what have you. So like back to the main issue, because I keep jumping around it. Dio is how like the woman is a commodity. Then because the man is insecure and he feels he doesn't have access. Like I think there are different levels of access. He feels he doesn't have access to a certain kind of woman. He's definitely incredibly afraid of that kind of woman, and feels like he needs to take out his feelings of inadequacy on the kind of woman he feels he has access to. It's like eating iron for not becoming steel, when like guy, she's just minding her own goddamn business. And it's not that she's like there's anything wrong with her for being like iron or whatever, but like she's just not the current standard of beauty, and that's okay. Like that's really okay. Like I feel like the context of beauty will probably be abolished eventually, because people have more important things to do. But I think that is going to be, because beauty in a sense is a commodity, and in the end beauty is only going to be abolished, like truly abolished. There will be like individualized concepts of beauty, but I feel like beauty is only going to be truly abolished when people are living equally comfortable lives. So it's not that the man or the woman, but to a large extent, since we live in a largely heterosexual like world, women are the commodity. Like they're just one other commodity that a man should have to prove his authority. So like when men transfer aggression towards like women, like I'm speaking in the context of American situation because this doesn't directly affect me. but it does in a sense, but being singled out, not like it's not like it's like in my side it affects the general population of women, but like in, let's say in America, it's singled out to black women because they don't currently fit a standard or what have you in their society. So like if the men feel insecure and they feel like inadequate because they don't have access to what they feel is the gold standard that a powerful man should have. But in the end, we need to understand that people are individuals. A majority of men actually don't think about this situation that way, because people fall in love with whoever they are falling in love with, and they'll fall in love with whoever they have access to. Maybe if they imagine, like, it's somebody who because the aggression towards women is constantly attached, in my opinion, to somebody who has constant fantasies of being rich without working for it. So it's just like, when I get to a certain level of success, there should be certain things I should have, and women are categorized as one of these things. And once you feel like you have access, especially if the thing you feel that you have a right to, you have access to, that at least this is something that I have, if they should not reject you now, you now start like being a trash, transferring aggression and beating up the person and trying to ruin her emotion, because you feel like when somebody is horribly insecure, they want everybody, like the same thing, like misery loves company and that kind of stuff. So these things are true for whatever situation, but I think it's particularly difficult for Black Americans in the sense that like the entirety of their issues, like the normal like stuff like imposter syndrome, sexism, all this stuff, this affects all humans, but it's because there's a certain brand of it that is particularly attached to their skin color, attached to their like minority status in a country that they've worked hard to build with everybody else, and yet are humiliated for it. It probably feels worse, like more choking than it is to somebody who just feels it in a society that they understand that they are generally accepted. I feel like I danced around this issue and I didn't like point out like my emotion, but my bullshit theory, now let me properly state it in one line, is that the transfer of aggression by Black American males to Black American females is because they feel that they do not have access to what they feel a powerful man should have. They do not have access, and that in the end, remember, this is only a minority of men, because most men have their shits together. Like, yes, people have like issues and stuff, but like people are not that crazy. Most people are not that crazy. Most people understand their station in life, respect the people around them, and decide to live with them in harmony. So if you deal with somebody that is deathly insecure, most often people who didn't have the opportunity to like be raised into a compassionate human being, then in the end they'll be like the face of your society. Because I don't know, when somebody is doing like truly doesn't give a fuck and wants to spread suffering, they're usually really loud. Like, I've had those moments. I think I'm using myself to extrapolate, because I'm particularly like grabby and like come on to me when I'm really sad. So like that's that. I've answered my bullshit theory on the transfer of aggression. I know like it started with black male weebles, but I let me finish with them, because it started with the whole situation of people in the abandonment of culture. Yes, this is one thing, how it tied in from because everything is generally tied to self-hate, and self-hate doesn't necessarily have to be tied to race, but for some people, especially with people who are minorities in the organization, they feel like our continent, the continent of Africa, is something that is embarrassing them, so to speak, as if like all of us in this continent should care about your own personal embarrassment. Like, bros, better go and sort yourself out. So it's like so those kind of people, like, they have a tendency to abandon everything that is I'm just using like weebles because it's not like anime fanatics from the first world, because I don't know, like, as much as like third world anime fanatics and they post all their hentai whatever, like, we live in a monoracial society, an aggressively culturally diverse society, but a monoracial one, because we're all West African. Like some people might have a bit of Berber and whatever, like genetics, but like we're all West African, so it's like culturally diverse but monoracial. So people, the kind of women he has access to are like the women around him, and we are a majority to the sense that if he starts saying rubbish, they will disgrace his destiny. Like, what kind of rubbish and nonsense is that? But the average black American, remember I said this is bullshit theories and I have no proof. My like bullshit, no figures, no nothing opinion, the average black American woman is like, she's not like a majority in her country. There are like a lot of people. So like I can totally see like people objectifying like Asian women and what have you. I think I'll probably even go to different kinds of racism and talk about like bullshit theories about them, because I'm not in their country, I don't face their issues and what have you. So this is just me like having my opinion based on like what I've absorbed so far in the media. So where was I was talking about like weebles, people who just like reject their own culture in favor of like this exotic foreign culture. I'm using like weird ass anime fans for example, and they're usually so heartbroken. The reason why it's like stands to the thing. For example, people, it's a combination of sexism and like power and what's like a young man hopes to have. Like, let's say a Latina woman has been seen as a spicy object of like sexual interaction and what have you. A white woman has been seen as the pinnacle of, remember, this doesn't affect me, that's why I can casually talk about it, because it doesn't affect my day-to-day life. Or a white woman has been seen as like the pinnacle of what somebody should have in their house. So it's like, if so that kind of, you now start hating. A lot of these kind of people now start hating what they have access to, what they feel like they have access to, because they particularly get violent when what they feel is their right is not interested in them. Because my sister cannot come and suffer with one weary when good black men have not finished on the streets. It's now one weary that has been rejected by everybody, that you should now. So people are just there like they don't want, because they feel, I think the word is emasculated, when other men have access to something that is society has decided, well, this is what a man with power should have, and they don't have access to it because black people in their society have been rejected as, I don't know, undesirables. So they now take out this feeling of inferiority, this feeling of insecurity on the women they feel that they have access to, that are naturally there, so to speak, or the women they feel like will always be there for them. So they abandon them to like the side tracks of the road and run off and go after somebody in the name of preference, so to speak. The thing is that we all have our concepts of beauty, but it's important that we look critically and try to understand, where did our ideals of beauty come from? Why do I think this particular individual is ugly? That's the one thing that I always try to ask myself. Why do I think this person is ugly? And more than that, it now comes to a question of, does it matter that this person thinks I'm attractive? Does it matter that I think this person is ugly? That's a key thing that people need to understand, that it doesn't matter, it shouldn't matter, it never ever matters. Not that you should date somebody who you think is ugly, no. Because in the end, if you don't like somebody's appearance, or if you can't ignore that appearance, it might turn out everything that person does, you just hate it unconditionally, even though the person didn't do anything wrong. So that's my theory on the transfer of aggression towards black women. I know it started with the whole talking about like black dudes who are like anime weebles, but like I was able to like pinpoint and drag out the key points. So yeah, 22 minutes, wow. The next segment, let's talk about the racism I know nothing about, like absolutely nothing about, because it doesn't affect me. Racism from Asians towards like other Asians. Okay, I'll probably end it with like racism towards Africans, because everybody's racist to Africans. Like, I don't know why, but I realized that a lot of the time, the basic key thing about, I feel tribalism and racism is the entire same thing. Like, after I talk about like all these other isms, I'll probably end with a note like with my new definition of racism, because my definition of racism, sexism, tribalism, and whatever, all the isms is one thing to me, like one single thing. Because I realize it's because of like my interest in stoicism. I need to read more stoic books, because I keep repeating about the control stuff. and my interest in stoicism and like the foundation of optimistic nihilism and the foundation, like I feel like those two, so far you have the key phrases. You just like whatever thing that comes up, if you try to extrapolate from the key phrase. So like we're going on and about like racism, about like, because I keep pausing this thing and going off and doing other stuff, and sometimes I might not remember what I was talking about. So like we're going to go on about racism, on about Indians to each other, because, and I'm going to end with my definition of the isms, because I think my definition is still cool. I haven't written it down, which means like a high probability I might forget it. Jesus fucking Christ. But like, I'm already talking, so let's go. So let's talk about East Asians being racist towards Southeast Asians and South Asians. I think it's simple because it's simply about the color of their skin, like all racism, but this is more about they feel like they are poor, and a lot of the fact that East Asian countries are coming up in like life, because people used to treat like the isms depends on like what you look like, the economic situation. Like for example, as an outsider and that doesn't know much about East Asian culture, if you see a Japanese person and you see a Chinese person, you'd assume, like, especially as somebody who's from a culturally diverse country but yet is monoracial, you'd assume that they are from the same country but different parts of the same country. Do you get like that kind of vibe? So I think like the prejudice towards Chinese people from Japanese people was that they were poor, like without question, like the modern prejudice, not like ancient like history and Japan tried to invade them. It's not that ancient, it's modern history, but like recent modern history. It's simple that until recently and even presently, that the stereotype going around for Chinese people is that a lot of China is still very poor and the wealthy are just trash people who don't have manners, like basically new money kind of irritating behavior that you just want everybody to submit to you because you have money now, that kind of behavior. I know the behavior because I'm Nigerian. A lot of Nigerians have that behavior. So that's like prejudices between East and East Asians, and my bullshit theory based on like the information, I won't say information, the stereotypes floating around about each country and their opinions towards each other. I feel like the dislike of Koreans by Japanese people is simply because they feel like Korea, Taiwan, all these places should be like beneath them and all that bullshit. Like bullshit that human beings just decide on an arbitrary hierarchy with no basis, for no fucking reason, because they woke up in the morning like, I feel I'm better than this person and what have you. So like, what is our thing for? That's like our prejudices among East Asians. Like my theory on it at least. Then my theory on the prejudices of East Asians on like, so it's because of their darker skin, and this is constant because the association of darker skin with poverty. But I feel like when you move towards like the tropical countries, it's no longer like they are tanning. That is the color of their skin. Their skin is that dark. It's not even like they were tanning the skin or like they tan really dark. No, like even if they've like avoided the sun for the rest of their life, that is the color of their skin. They've never been that like light. Unless they like you want to force your body to be at its like constitutive like state, when you've not been exposed to heat or stress or light or anything. But even like kids of like African admixture, if they are not they are kept in like appropriate like really nice conditions, they still become darker to their normal natural color, showing that the color of your skin as you were born is not really like your real color. Your real color is if you were protected from everything, and the color that settles in, that is your real color. That is the color of your skin. Not like you started getting exposed to the sun and getting tan and having skin cells damage. That's something else. But like that's my theory on like, based on the information in quotes, I'm doing the air quotes thing, is that it's because of skin color, like, and the history with the association and the medieval beauty standards of like associating beauty with like fairness of skin. To be honest, in my society, I think I'll probably have to talk about that eventually, because I'll probably have to look at all the isms and how like the standards of beauty are correlated across like societies around the world, because I think it's like really cool to look at, and it'd be fun to like having like talking about it preliminary without like full research, and like going at this topic again and seeing how I've grown as a person, like what is my new information, what are my new ideologies, and that kind of vibe. But it's like, this is just basically my bullshit theory on like various stuff. It's not just racism. I first did the transfer of aggression. Now this is like my bullshit theory on why now this is my bullshit theory on why Indians are xenophobic towards East Asians. I wouldn't say racist, because I feel like the concept of race is that you have to feel like you are superior to this human being for no goddamn reason. Do you get? And I don't think Indians feel that they're superior to East Asians. I think because, well, Japan has been a developed country for a really long time, so that like cements people's minds that they don't push certain people beneath them, that kind of vibe. But people are xenophobic towards them because they feel that they've come to India the same way the British have come to steal, to tax stuff. But like, there's one thing that I'm probably going to talk about in my definition of isms, like towards the end. I'm so excited for my definition of isms. Like, I'm going to like reveal the great secret. Like, scientists have finally revealed stuff like they knew everything and decided not to tell us. Tell you the rambler with no redirection. So I feel like they're xenophobic, so that's my theory. That is what, and I keep saying, like, the reason why I call this like the episode of bullshit theories is this is basically the information that is at the back of my mind, because I won't have no like real cause to use it on a day-to-day basis. This is okay, this is my opinion on this is my opinion on that. Do I have anything to back it? It's not that I'm operating on facts, I'm operating based on stereotypes, but I need to understand that these are just the foundation I'm starting with a human being, but that human being is still a human being, and that human being is unique, and that human being makes choices that are unique to that human being. I know I said like you are not unique, but because everybody has different question papers, even though the possible different way that you answer to each question is very limited, showing that we are not unique in our thinking, but we are unique in the option, we are unique in the kind of questions that we have. But if we're handed different options, if we're handed the same options, the chances of differences are maybe 4 or 5. But all of us have vastly different question papers that you now get to. That's where like the concept of uniqueness, but like the skeletal framework, so to speak, the foundation of the human being, I feel is like disturbingly similar in a sense, because airplane. I think it's disturbingly similar in that sense, because you understand that people are just exposed to different circumstances, but like their behavior is like, it's very disturbingly similar. Now the final heavy hitter, the one that sort of like affects me, because like I said, culturally diverse but monoracial in my country, is the fact that the one that like directly is Asian racism towards, because I think what they call it, European racism towards Africans is usually quite like condescending, like you're dealing with a child, or you just pretend like they're not there. While like Asian racism is like more active and more malicious, and I feel like it's in a sense that, you know, that kind of, your country is booming forward, you're going like places, you're organized, you're having this sense of growth, this newfound sense of like a higher place in the world. Like, you know, when you don't see yourself, you're thinking of yourself as a growing, powerful collective. I'm looking at you, China and India, as a growing, powerful collective. You know, even though you are still hateful and bitter to the people that you think are on top, that doesn't mean you want to drag people beneath. And I think I really, really, really have Biola to thank for like finally being less angry about like this situation. And she was like, the moment somebody has experienced something horrible, if you look at like the average random person, it's not really likely that they decide they want to dedicate their lives to improving everybody's lives once they've experienced something horrible. That's just weird. Like, people usually just want to show everybody else that I'm no longer in that situation, I'm no longer facing something horrible. They're not going to pull people up. Like, the people that have chosen to pull people up, we should try to encourage them, we should try to be one of them and all those things. But most people would rather to step, I won't say most people, because I think, in my opinion, I feel bad people are not that many, but they're that loud. I feel bad people are equal in proportion to good people, but mediocre people are not scared of good people, but we are terrified of bad people. So bad people appear to be like the majority of everything, and most of us are just mediocre. We're not good, we're not bad, we're just cowards, and like we can't do like anything real. And I haven't still gotten to the part where I'm going to dramatically complain about my life. Like, this is basically going to be Dio's life update, but it's not this one. So like, that's like when I realized, like, okay, these people are racist towards Africans because they feel like they are, in quotes, no longer on our level. And also the normal medieval beauty standard of darker is ugly, and that kind of yada yada yada, these people are so dark, yada yada yada, these people don't have small noses, yada yada yada, these people have none. Well, I think full lips are really pretty. I don't know, like yada yada yada, all this like weird arbitrary. I woke up in the morning and decided I'm better than some person because of standards that like I've absorbed by my society over time. And in the end, I don't think so. Like, with this, I'm going to talk about my definition of the isms, and after this I'll talk about victim blaming. So my definition of all the isms, sexism, tribalism, but even though this is the refusal to see somebody as human, to see the refusal to see somebody as equal to you. A lot of times I get really annoyed when everybody's like, I'm so melancholic, I'm so sad, I'm like, oh, everybody's just so stupid, I'm the one with the eye open. Like, no, you're not. No, you're fucking not. You're not the one with the one eye open in the land of the blind, you motherfucker. No, you're not. Like, if you sit down and you think of this person that is being hateful, that is being horrible, if you think of them as a human being, you realize that their behavior is not weird. Their behavior is like, in my opinion, their behavior is, I won't say stupid, because I say their behavior is not profitable to you. And it might be from something as simple as they are quite annoying to something like they are literally against your safety. And just because you understand they are human, that doesn't mean I'm asking you to go and be sympathetic with them. I feel like understanding that they are human beings and not just dismissing them as stupid, they are less likely to fall into their trap or be humiliated and destroyed or what have you. Because you're less likely to fall into the traps of those kind of people. Because if you berate somebody as stupid because like of the obvious lack of like exposure to the things you have been exposed to, you haven't been exposed to what they have been exposed to. So you need to understand that you can easily be conned by them. You can easily be manipulated, humiliated, and destroyed by them. So I'm not saying that, because you understand this person as a human being, you find a way to change them and make them see reason. You might need to understand that the effort towards making, I think it's possible to change somebody, whether it's by fear or by reason. But like, if you look at the situation and you realize that the effort towards changing this person is not worth it, you rather just prevent them from achieving their cause, especially when their cause directly opposes your own. That is like my definition of the isms. The isms are simply when you decide that you are not going to look at this human being as a complete human being, as somebody who is responsible for your actions. You will make sure that any ism, whether it's sexism, basically you refuse to see a human being, a woman, as your equal. You refuse to see her as a human being. You just see her as a group of standards and ideals that are expected woman behavior, and most often those things are often negative. In my opinion, I consider positives as racism and sexism and tribalism and what have you, because when somebody doesn't fit those standards, even those positive standards in your mind, there's a tendency to especially hate that person when all they've done is just not conform to the standards you have for people that look like them, or people that look like them are from the same place like them, which is fucked up. Like, all this the good stereotypes about like Asians and the bad stereotype about black people, they are both fucking racism. Like, and the hating one people because they have good stereotypes, or hating another people because you don't want to be like associated with like these bad people, or like just hating people because they are different from you, is your refusal to see a human being as a human being. And And just because you see everybody as human, that doesn't mean you should have a large capacity heart. Or you should also try to destroy them if they try to be trash. And that's like the vibe I try to like give myself, that just because I see everyone as human and people have the right to prove themselves individually. I'm not going to say, oh, Igbo people act like this. I'm going to say, you act like this. You act like this. I'm not going to say like white people act like this. I'm going to say this individual white person that I met didn't see me as an individual, wanted to move away from me, tried ordered a different room because I was there. This individual is trash. Maybe I might see like different, what's the word? I might see like different things. Like the more you are similar to, it comes back to the same like question paper analogy. You notice that if there are 4 options per question, but the question papers are different, that's like how people's uniqueness come into play. But if I meet 2 people that have near the exact kind of question paper, there's a really high chance that they will be very similar, in my opinion. So like, depending on the amount of options each question has. So it's not that there's a high chance they'll be very similar, but it's also a high chance that they'll be very different, because they might completely choose like on the opposite ends of the spectrum of questions. Even though the spectrum of questions are not that large, they probably will have opposing ends. I sometimes I think I don't properly explain it well. I just like voice myself and then use this space like as therapy, because just talking about stuff in my head. But that's like my thoughts on like racism that doesn't really directly affect me, because I live in a culturally diverse, yes, but a monoracial society. Bye. Next is my bullshit theory on victim blaming. I don't know, why do people just blame? I think my theory, like the simple theory, is that people blame the victim because they can't do anything about it. They cannot help the situation. They want to feel like they're actually like contributing to a situation when they're not. They don't want to be like, I'm the person that just abandoned this person. I cannot do anything for this person. I'm part of like the useless bystander. So it's always like, well, the person that is now affected about the situation, those are the easiest person to put down. It's just all about themselves. Anybody that victim blames just doesn't want to be like, they don't want to be held accountable, or they just want to be assholes, or they feel like they are morally right. Either way, it's because they cannot attack the real person responsible, so they are going to attack the easiest person in the situation, and that's the victim. Like ordinarily, you dropped your biro somewhere, you dropped your notes close to exam and it was stolen, they'll be like, you're fucking careless. Like, to be honest, I understand that it's important that we should teach children to take every precaution, but we should always make sure that the focus, that even if somebody doesn't take the precaution, the focus should be on finding the culprit. The focus should be on attacking the criminal and making people understand that yes, you should take precautions, but the people around you will always focus on getting rid of the criminal. But like, we just focus on like doing what we can. I understand that like doing what we can makes us feel as if we have like a solution, we are trying our best. But the thing is that if somebody wants to fuck up your life, they will, regardless of how many controls you put in place. Like, as somebody in ISO, like QMS systems, you understand that risks will happen, control failures will happen, no matter what you do. But it's important that you put everything in place to prevent those things from happening, but also understanding that there are some things beyond your control, and once there are things, you find the root cause and you attack the root cause, I guess, to probably have. And I think the best control is that the root cause is weeded out, and in that case, the attacker, the destroyer, the shitty person. But like, it's just easier to like victim blame. It's just easier to victim blame because you can't do anything about the situation, because you want to open your mouth and bring a helpful suggestion or like whatever like that is. And I understand that, like, why is it so easy to dehumanize somebody? Like you just want to make it seem like that person is just incapable. And I think it ties back to my definition of all the isms. Just saying that somebody else is not like fully human or is just stupid. Like, I know the reason why those people annoy me, and I understand that I don't have the right to be annoyed, because I used to be like one of those people that just because somebody didn't have the same experiences with you, or somebody fell into the same trap, a different trap than you, and things completely different from you, that doesn't mean that person is stupid. It means that person has a different ideology, and that ideology doesn't necessarily mean, and that just because you see them as human, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like take care of them or be empathetic. Sometimes seeing them as human is the key to destroying them. So I feel like I mentioned that a lot, and that's something that I think I need to continuously mention, continuously like put forward, and try to like get yourself there. Another thing is self-hate. My bullshit theory on self-hate obviously is the reason why I wanted to put like self-hate and victim blaming, because I literally have short opinions on them, and they're like tied to the same general thing in which people feel powerless, and it's easier to hate the easily accessible thing, which is yourself. And in the case of self-hate, you are the victim, so to speak. But it's important to see yourself as an individual, see your oppressor as an individual, so you don't drown yourself in the victim mentality and prevent yourself from going up, then, or saying that there's something just wrong with you, and totally forgetting that there are some things that are out of your control. You're not the problem. It's not people like you that is not the problem. And I feel like a lot of pick me people, so to speak, whether it's pick me in race, pick me in gender, like when they're trying to appeal to, this is why I don't want to use the word like oppressor, appeal to people who are like enjoying the current status quo, because a lot of things humans do is not conscious, but they don't make effort to change something when it doesn't directly affect them, and they are particularly like nonchalant when it benefits them, even though they know it's morally wrong. And by morally wrong, by how they were raised, their own morals, their own ideals. And just because you have certain morals, that doesn't mean it should be, how I put it, there's no such thing as wrong or right. In my own opinion, everybody has their definition of wrong or right, but we're trying to build a society together. And if we are trying to build a society together, we have to compromise to whose definition of wrong or right should be followed. I think that's the key thing about like world governance. Like in a way you can balance like religion and atheism and structure and what have you. You need to understand that if we want to compromise in society, we should all agree on what we can take in our society without judging the other person. And I think the key thing is understanding that humans are children are individuals. Children are human beings. They're not, and while they're in the process of like quickly absorbing new responsibilities, quickly absorbing new experiences, so that will form a majority of their character. But it's important, like personally, if I end up like ever raising children, I don't know, like I feel the world is not in a place where I can justify bringing a child into it. If I find myself ever raising children, I see like I need to understand that the key thing is to raise somebody who can question things and who is willing to look at things solidly, steadily, and try to get as much angles as possible to make a judgment. So act on that judgment while still understanding that new evidence can come to light and they can change their opinion, but not waver in whatever step they decide to take before the new evidence comes to light. And not be afraid to say that they were wrong, and not be afraid to say that they have no control over a situation, and not be afraid to say that they've tried their best yet it didn't happen. It's important to have children, I feel it's important to not encourage dogmatism in children. But then again, that is like the whole thing that humanity has like tried to instill in everybody. Like once a way has been forced onto us, we try to force it onto our children. I feel that it's important that we leave the world better than we met it. So like I think that is all on my like bullshit theories. I feel like I didn't have much to say this weekend. I was just like dragging stuff all along, and I'm trying to cover out the fact that okay, I don't want to give up. I actually did try. And I haven't given up on Skin Tell. I'm going to like review stuff, and just like I think next week is going to be review week. I'm not that busy in the office, but like I don't want to work, guy. So like the next segment is me complaining about my real life. So like bye, enough on the bullshit theories. Update on my like freaking existence. I am still at my job. I'm still not knowing how to draw, but like I did on like that day where I was like, okay, I want to learn how to draw. I did go and find, like, I was surprised how like very specific Advanced Arts was able to find the document I was looking for on semi-realistic drawings. And I'm like, there practice on like somebody you think is like amazing and intelligent and like not really intelligent, just like a face that you find interesting. But like I don't see like myself being able to just casually like find a solution or what have you and just start drawing and being awesome. I think it's the fear of how long it's going to take for me to be actually like really good and not just like copying somebody's like answers, like drawings and stuff, to like be able to draw stuff on my head and what have you. Like that idea is like really really scary in that sense. So it's like, yeah, that's my progress on drawing. I found the document again, and like we're there, and we're there. So like that's the whole thing on like my progress on drawing. So that's like my story on drawing. About data science. Okay, Hamoy is having this like, I don't want to join the externship because I feel it's like the exact same thing as the internship, and I didn't, up until like the computer vision part, I didn't really gain anything because I already had like that knowledge from learning on my own. And I was really surprised that, oh my god, I actually like knew this much. I know I'm giving live updates like randomly, but like, yeah. So like, even I need to like do a project like of notes that makes sense, that I can get hired for. Then I've done like various examples, but they're just like using simple tools. So I want to try like more, like I want to focus on like, I don't think I have the data for like, I have the data to do like what's the word, computer vision. I really don't have the data to like run that shit. But like, I think it's not that expensive, yeah, if you're moving your data through collab and stuff. I don't think it's expensive. You just like attach the file, it moves through the internet, and it doesn't really stress your data. You don't download and like put on. Then what else? But that's like so far on data science. So like I'm thinking of focusing on like natural language processing, like based like projects, and like be pushing towards that direction, because I don't like really see anything, like I don't really see any like job opportunities for computer vision like in this like as a third world. I don't really see. So I see stuff like data engineering, extraction, loading. So like that's like where I want to go towards. Like I know the data science part. So like it's focused on like data engineering, and I almost wish I took like the data and engineering pipeline, because I didn't know that like the what's the word, the course outline for Hamoy was going to, for data science it was going to be like incredibly similar to what I already knew, even though like I didn't show up and be like show up like as far become awesome. So like there's that. So like that's my, because I've been seeing like opportunities for extract and load, about like further studying. There is, I don't know, thinking about studying Germany. I don't know. I really don't know. But like I'm going to, because I cannot wait 2021. Like I have to achieve something tangible at the end of 2021. That's like tangible by, let's say, a scholarship, another job, that sort of things. Something tangible by 2021. I know that I'm irrationally stressed or something because I'm 23. That's a long way ahead till like 70, assuming I live that. But like I think I'm using this opportunity to be more focused on like the smaller things, because I get so obsessed at the pointlessness of it all, because it feels like my country is going to scatter at any point. I don't think it will. Like we'll weather along. And I think is that I understand that I'm actually in a place of privilege. Not in the sense that I'm in any way remotely rich. I'm not remotely rich in any sense of the word, in like the human race. But like I'd say I'm in my country, I'm in a place that I'm certain that I most likely will not die of unnatural causes. Like I might die of sickness. Most likely I might die of sickness that I cannot afford to take care of by moving to by getting myself treated in another country. I might die of a sickness because I'm not powerful enough to just get another treatment in another country. But the key is that I'm able to, what's the word? For like the most part, like the kind of city I live in, kind of people I was raised by, I'd say that I think the best part of stuff that I'm most likely going to die of like natural causes, which is like a good thing, a great thing, an amazing thing, that I'm going to probably die of natural causes. So there's that's a good thing, that's a great thing, that's an amazing thing. So like there's that. So this was me just basically complaining without trying to give like too much details on why I still feel sort of lost. But like that's the whole point, like on deciding on what I think about something, how I'm going to act. And I think my key thing is never really acting on things that directly affects me. Like yes, I'm having like opinions on big things, on things that don't directly affect me, and I'm like putting the backlog on, because I know I have a tendency to just like imagine and go far off and not think within my reach. But like I have a tendency to put things that are directly affecting me on the back seat and just focus on reading like manga, what have you, or doing something weird. But like it's moving forward. Like I don't know, like 2021, something tangible. And what are the 3 goals for 2021? Dial, a scholarship, a job, and learning how to draw. I think those were the 3 goals I mentioned the other time. But this is just like a life update. I think, remember, this is Daya's personal code of conduct. I don't have the answers. I do not in any way think I have the answers. So like, bye and see you next week. I almost didn't record this because I was getting like super lazy. And I didn't like exactly have a topic planned, even though I started writing an outline. I know, Dayo, don't fuck up. Bye and see you next week if anyone listens. So bye.